So, after a rocky launch, to say the very least, Cyberpunk 2077 is now a pretty good game. Set in a future world that might be described as a dystopia, the world itself mostly resembles something like Blade Runner, or maybe Shadowrun, only without all of those magical elements. But the thing I keep wondering about as I'm playing Cyberpunk is what kind of sacrifices come along with being augmented with all the cybernetics. And what I mean by that is this. In real life, if you have a pacemaker for your heart, you're not supposed to use a microwave at all. And the augmentations you're getting in Cyberpunk are considerably more elaborate and invasive even than a simple pacemaker. I mean, you're getting things put into your brain, your eyes, replacing internal organs, replacing whole limbs. But yet, your character never gets a warning of like, hey, you should avoid X, Y, and Z. And we know that microwaves, in particular, still exist somewhere in the world of Cyberpunk. One of the radio DJs makes reference to microwaving a burrito, after all. Though, weirdly, you never actually see one in-game anywhere. At least, not so far as I've seen yet. But putting aside how a microwave would affect your cyber augments, what about just taking a shower? Would that even be possible? I got my character gorilla arms so I could pass body checks more easily. And whenever I see my character's hands in games, there's actually exposed bits of electronics in the knuckles and fingers. Is it okay for any of that to get wet? And is it even safe to go to the desert? Wouldn't the parts of the hands get clogged up with sand? And do things like MRIs still exist in this world? Because if you were so cyber-augmented, as my character clearly is, being next to an MRI machine should just rip them apart. As, admittedly, the game doesn't tell you exactly what any of your augmentations are actually made out of, but it seems like some of the materials going into them would almost have to be magnetic. As there is a lot of sci-fi tech in this game, but there's never any reference to some wonder material that would just hand-wave away any practical problems with any of this technology. There's never any reference to like a wonder polymer like an atomic heart or anything. Also, what is the maintenance schedule for any of the cyber augmentations? Again, in the real world, a fake hip or a fake knee, they need replaced every 10 to 15 years. And by and large, the augmentations in this game look as if they're considerably more delicate than a fake knee or hip. Not to mention, infinitely more complicated. From the descriptions, it sounds like some of the augmentations actually have, like, computer operating systems inside them. Do you need to format them every 6 to 12 months? Are they hooked into some kind of future Wi-Fi to receive security updates? Does each of them have its own copy of Norton installed on them? Or whatever the equivalent is in 2077? For as key an element as cyber augmentation is in this game, it seems like there's a lot of questions to be asked about the actual logistics of how this works. Please do subscribe, comment, like, and tell your friends.